Do you find yourself struggling when you're trying to pair Indian food with wine? Or maybe you just keep going back to the same old safe, sweet white wine? Look, I don't blame you because for years we were told that is the only pairing that works. But I'm here to bust the myth and to share 3 wines that pair beautifully with the 6 dominant flavors that you're going to find in your Indian thali or on a desi dinner table, especially if it's featuring Punjabi foods. So the 6 flavor profiles I'm talking about are spicy, like bring the heat spicy, mild and creamy, aromatic and spiced. Now this one, it's not spicy, it's spiced. I'll explain more later. We've also got chatpata, that tangy umami flavor, smoky, and sweet. A little bit later in the video, I'm going to break down the pairings chart and show you how to use it, but first let me introduce you to the 3 wines we're working with. I've done a fair bit of testing to come up with 3 wines that I think work beautifully here. They're all from Joie Farms Winery, who are the sponsors of today's video, and they're the perfect wines to have on hand for your next desi dinner party. So my first pick is a 2022 Pinot Noir. Yes, we are doing a red wine with Indian food. I know it's controversial, but I really like this one because it's kind of a really juicy red wine. It's a little bit lighter bodied than most reds, and it has a really refreshing amount of acidity to it. Now, if you're not super familiar with wine pairings, I find acidity to be really important when you're pairing with any kind of food that has complex flavor profiles. You want something refreshing and acidic because between each bite, it's going to cleanse your palate and get you ready for the next bite and the next flavor of food. So my next pick is this beautiful 2023 rosé, which like all of Joie Farms wines is farmed here in BC, so all the more reason to support. Now, full transparency, I'm not really a rosé girl, but this one is converting me, and I especially like it with spicy, hearty dishes. And you might be surprised because rosés and spicy food aren't something you might have seen paired together, but this one in particular has this really kind of a zesty quality to it, and these beautiful fruity flavor notes, they work so well with spice. Okay, so since we're pairing with Indian food, we do have to have a white wine, but it doesn't have to be overly sweet. I absolutely love this 2023 A Noble Blend because it's kind of aromatic and spicy itself. It's made from 4 different grape varieties, which gives it a really complex flavor of its own, and that holds up really well with Indian food pairings. Now, of course, there are so many other wines that you can pair with Indian food. And once you start playing around and experimenting, definitely add to your list. But I think of these 3 as kind of like a starter pantry for your Indian wine pairings. Start here, use the chart. I'm going to walk you through it now, but I've also linked it in the caption where you can download it, print it off, and you can use it to create your own pairings. Let me show you how. If you're serving a spicy dish like a vindaloo or a jalfrezi or even a spicy vada pav, your pairing is the 2023 rosé. Now you might be tempted to reach for something white, but this particular rosé is refreshing. It has some really fruity flavors that balance out the spices so well. Also, hot tip, whenever you're pairing any kind of a spicy food with wine, you'll want to pick the wine that has the lower alcohol content, which in this case, comparatively in the 2023 A Noble Blend and the 2023 Rosé is actually the Rosé. When you pick a higher alcohol content wine, it intensifies the heat and it's not a pleasurable experience. So trust me, pick the Rosé for something spicy. With a mild and creamy dish like a shahi paneer, methi matar malai, or a butter chicken, go with the white. The crispness of A Noble Blend cuts through the rich, creamy gravies, and it's just a chef's kiss level pairing. For your aromatic, spice dishes like biryani, pulao, dum aloo, or even a milder sambar, you can stick with A Noble Blend. It won't overpower your finishing spices, but rather complement them. And you have to have some smoky flavors on that desi thali like seekh kebab, eggplant paratha, or even tandoori rotis and kulche. For these, The 2022 Pinot Noir is your best friend. You cannot go wrong with this red pairing. My favorite flavor profile is chatpata. Think tangy and sweet like chaat, dahi vade, khatti dal, or any imli-based dishes. There are two ways you can go here. A noble blend is a really safe bet, but if you want to stretch your taste buds, go with the rosé. I like the rosé because it adds even more flavor to a complex chaat dish, whereas the white, a noble blend, refreshes and cleanses your palate between bites. So choose your own adventure. And finally, sweet, like dessert sweet. This is another double dip. If you're serving something really sweet, think traditional Indian desserts like gulab jamun, rabdi, then stick with a chilled white. But if you're doing something a little lighter on the meeta, like a fusion tres leches or maybe a chai flavored creme brulee, pull out the rosé. I hope this video gives you a little bit more insight into pairing Indian food with wines, but more importantly, I hope it makes you feel a little bit more creative, makes you feel like you might take a risk and try something new. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to pair wines. There are just ways that suit flavor profiles better. And often with ethnic foods, there just hasn't been as much experimenting, as much trial. So we have to do a little bit of that work ourselves. Go ahead and try something different. If you don't like it, make a note. If you like it, make a note so it works better next time. Don't forget to download the chart. Let me know what you think of the pairings, and definitely also head over to Joie Farms Winery's website, which I've linked below. They have a whole portfolio of wines. I didn't even get into bubbles yet. They have some nice options for sparkling wines as well. And they have a wine club, which makes for a great holiday gift. So definitely check it out.